The aerial assault on Ukraine has reached a new level of intensity, with a major Russian offensive striking Kyiv and several other regions in a relentless overnight barrage. Ukrainian officials reported a staggering volume of ordnance, estimating that around 430 drones and 18 missiles were deployed in a coordinated attack designed to overwhelm air defenses and terrorize the civilian population. The assault ignited fires across the capital, caused significant structural damage to the residential buildings, and resulted in multiple casualties. Early reports indicate that at least 4 people were killed while emergency service scrambled to rescue more than 40 residents trapped in the wreckage of damaged buildings. This latest wave of attacks is part of a broader systematic campaign that is pushing Ukraine into what many are calling its darkest winter yet. Over a mere 6-week period, Russia has unleashed an astonishing arsenal of more than 2,000 drones and over 150 missiles, striking with relentless precision at the heart of Ukraine's critical infrastructure. The primary targets have been power plants, electrical substations, and natural gas network, a clear strategy to cripple the country's ability to provide heat and electricity as temperatures plummet. The consequences are already being felt across the nation. Authorities in Kyiv have warned residents to prepare for rolling blackouts lasting up to 12 hours a day, a drastic measure necessary to stabilize the city's battered energy lifeline. Entire regions have already been plunged into darkness, with Donetsk Oblast suffering a total power outage that has created a humanitarian crisis. The danger is compounded for the repair crews who are being targeted by secondary strikes even as they rush to fix the damaged grid, a cruel tactic designed to hinder recovery efforts and sow further chaos. As another wave of strikes looms on the horizon, the question is no longer if the grid will survive the winter, but for how long it can continue to function under such a sustained and brutal assault. The strategic destruction of the energy sector is a clear attempt to break the will of the Ukrainian people. The strategic destruction of the energy sector is a clear attempt to break the will of the Ukrainian people and create unbearable living conditions, turning the harsh winter into a formidable weapon of war. While the nation grapples with the devastating air war, its military is facing an unprecedented internal crisis that threatens to unravel its frontline defenses. A staggering exodus of soldiers has been reported, with official figures suggesting that over 160,000 troops have deserted their posts in 2025 alone. This represents a dramatic and alarming increase compared to the previous year and points to a catastrophic breakdown in morale and discipline within the armed force. The crisis reached a tipping point in the unbattled Kharkiv region, where entire units of the 57th Brigade began to surrender their positions in waves. According to reports from Russian security forces, these demoralized units, which had been holding the same trenches since the spring, finally gave up after months of unrelenting Russian pressure, signaling a critical breach in Kyiv's northern defenses. The sudden collapse has sent shockwaves across the battlefield, fundamentally altering the tactical balance and underscoring the immense strain Ukraine is facing. This despair was powerfully captured in a stunning frontline recording that has since gone viral. The footage shows a Ukrainian soldier delivering a blistering and emotional critique of his own command as scenes of mass surrender unfold behind him. His voice, trembling with a mixture of anger and utter exhaustion, accused Kyiv's military planners of catastrophic misjudgment that pushed soldiers beyond their breaking points. This raw, on-camera outburst has become a symbolic eruption of the deep-seated frustration and despair felt by a fighting force that feels abandoned and pushed too far. The grim reality of this collapse is further detailed in the testimonies of Ukrainian prisoners of war captured in Krasnoarmysk and Kupiansk that describe a near-total breakdown of logistics and command, citing severe shortage of food, water, ammunition, and crucially, communication with their leadership. Several POWs recounted how their units were simply abandoned by their commanders and left without any support for days, a situation that left them with no choice but to surrender. Some even claim that as they attempted to retreat, they came under fire from their own side, a horrifying testament to the chaos and desperation consuming the front lines. These accounts paint a picture of a military in deep crisis, where low morale, mounting losses, and a sense of betrayal are eroding the will to fight. In the face of this multifaceted crisis, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has renewed his urgent appeals for more advanced Western weaponry, specifically calling for faster deliveries of air defense systems and long-range missiles. Following the deadly Russian strikes that killed 6 people in Kyiv and injured more than 30, Zelensky emphasized the need to bolster Ukraine's defensive capabilities to protect its cities and citizens. He highlighted the effectiveness of Ukraine's own long-range Neptune systems, which he claimed has shown themselves in combat, and indicated that Kyiv is preparing new strategies to strike Russian forces more effectively. This appeal was met with some positive response as the Nordic and Baltic states pledged a combined $500 million to the Pearl program, an initiative dedicated to purchasing U.S. weapons for Ukraine. However, this growing dependence on foreign support comes at a time of increasing unease and division among European leaders. The strain was palpable when French Armed Force Minister Catherine Vautrin, speaking at a joint European defense press conference, suggested that Europe was considering stronger security guarantees for Ukraine. Her remarks hinted at discussions around potential deployment of European forces aimed at deterring further Russian aggression, a significant rhetorical escalation. This idea, however, has not been universally embraced and highlight a growing concerns in European capitals over the sustainability of the current support model, especially as Moscow continues its relentless attacks. Adding to the complexity is a burgeoning refugee crisis with a new dimension. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz has directly confronted Zelensky about the alarming number of young Ukrainian men, aged 18 to 24, who are fleeing to Germany and other EU nations to avoid the draft, which begins at age 25. Merz warned that this exodus is draining Ukraine of its most vital resource, manpower, at a time when it is desperately needed for the war effort. He stated that Ukraine's allies are growing increasingly frustrated as they pump billions in military aid into the country while its young men flee rather than fight. This AWOL epidemic is not only weakening Ukraine's army, but also overwhelming EU welfare systems, creating an untenable situation that is causing the foundations of European support to crack. The fractures in the international coalition supporting Ukraine are becoming more pronounced, with dissenting voice growing louder and more critical of the current strategy. Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico has emerged as a particularly sharp critic of the European Union's approach, openly rejecting a proposed €140 billion military aid package for Kyiv. Fico accused Brussels of ignoring the dissenting opinions of member states and railroading through a policy that he believes is leading Europe toward a broader conflict. He warned that young Slovaks could soon face pressure to get more directly involved in the war and revealed that he had personally pressed Russian President Vladimir Putin for a ceasefire. In a series of pointed remarks, Fico asserted that Ukraine was being used as a geopolitical tool and declared that Slovakia would not participate in financing the next phase of the war. This sentiment is mirrored in the scathing assessment offered by former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who has repeatedly painted a black picture of Ukraine's political and military predicament. Medvedev describes Kyiv's leadership as being trapped in a strategic deadlock, with the encirclement of Ukraine troops by Russian forces threatening a total collapse of the front line. He characterized the internal political situation as an abscess of corruption that he predicted would inevitably burst, leading to severe instability. Medvedev has also been a vocal critic of what he terms the West's use of elections as a political tool to pressure countries in the global South accusing the US and its allies of orchestrating electoral interference to promote neo-colonial agendas. This narrative is further amplified by Russia's foreign ministry spokesperson, Maria Zakharova, who has accused Ukraine of running a mafia-like system that systematically siphons off billions of dollars in Western aid. She alleged that Ukraine's elites are lining their pockets while Western taxpayers foot the bill for the war effort, a claim designed to sow distrust between Kyiv and its international partners. The internal political situations in Ukraine has also been complicated by actions from its most powerful ally. The Trump administration has controversially begun deporting Ukrainian nationals from the US, a move that sends them back to a country desperate for military recruits. While Kyiv has publicly expressed support for the deportations, citing its need for manpower, critics warn that the policy places these individuals in an incredibly dangerous and precarious situation, forcing them into a brutal conflict they sought to escape. If you have made it this far, congratulations. You have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. With Ukraine losing over 160,000 soldiers to desertion and European leaders like Orbán and Fico openly challenging military aid packages, how long can Kyiv's government survive both militarily and politically without fundamental reforms to address corruption and troop morale, and why? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. And one more thing. I want to take a moment to address a question some of you may have. Why don't I use video clips in my content? First and foremost, my goal is to create a sustainable channel that you can depend on for now and to ensure its stability for the long term. Navigating YouTube's copyright systems can be incredibly challenging, especially trying to get a hold of a YouTube agent. It is very stressful and time-consuming. The platform has strict policies regarding the use of others' video content, which can lead to copyright strikes, warnings, and even the permanent disabling of a channel, which lead to recreating a new YouTube channel after it has been permanently disabled. And trying to get back the number of fans that I used to have is frustrating. While it's possible to get permissions from creators, the process can be time-consuming and does not always guarantee a timely response, which could delay bringing you the up-to-date news content you are here for. So now, to avoid these potential headaches and stress, and to ensure this channel remains a reliable source of information for the long term, I have made the deliberate choice to focus on original content and commentary without relying on third-party video clip footage. I understand this might not be the typical format you see on YouTube, but I believe that by focusing on high-quality original reporting, my channel will go a long way. Together, we can build a strong, faithful, and loyal community. I am incredibly grateful and relieved now that you understand why I do not use video clips from other content creators. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and share this video if you find it helpful. I'll see you guys in the next one.